Welcome back to the weekly Spread Pick'em show with Andrew. And we'll go over last week as we always do. I am now 16, 15, and 1. Good to be over 500. You are 17, 14, and 1. I don't know where your video went. All right, now you're back. So, anyway,
Yeah,
last
I
week we
just got a
had
call.
that's too popular for this show. I mean, if you need to leave, you let me know. But last week, Thursday Night Football was an absolute killer for the spread. If you lost money on the Browns, I feel bad for you, and I feel bad for myself as well. So backdoor cover for the Bengals. They won that. You won it. I lost it. Jacksonville at Tennessee. You took the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get the win there. I took the loss. Giants at Bears. The Giants covered. They lost by like 4 points, I think it was. We both won that one. Atlanta at Dallas. Dallas got the win, but they didn't cover. I don't know how the Falcons blew that one. Typical Falcons. Denver at Pittsburgh. So Drew Lock gets hurt. If I knew that, I probably would have went with Pittsburgh. But somehow the Broncos were able to pull that one out. They lost by 5 or 6 points. I covered there. You took the Steelers. Minnesota, Indianapolis. A bet that me and you were pretty confident in, but Vikings are terrible. So, yeah, the Colts played a good game, lost by a ton of points. I think it was 28-11. We lose that one pretty easily. Carolina at Tampa Bay. We both went with Carolina. They almost got the backdoor cover at the end. It wasn't on red zone, but I saw they had the ball late. They didn't get it in. So, unfortunately, we take the loss there. Buffalo at Miami. We both took Buffalo, who won the game, but only by 3 points. They went up 31-20 with like 2 minutes left. Josh Allen puts the dagger in them, thinking we won. But of course, Dolphins get a garbage time touchdown. They cover that. Not good. San Francisco at the Jets. We took San Francisco. We both knew that was a pretty easy one. Los Angeles Rams. What happened there, buddy?
Um, um, yeah. I don't know. I was not very confident going into the weekend, honestly, with that pick.
Well, at least Miles Sanders looked pretty good. I mean, that's something to
He's on my
look at
fantasy
positive.
team.
Now Jalen Rager's out 6 to 8 weeks, so not good there. But I got the win there with the Rams. Andrew takes the L with the Eagles. The Lions at the Packers. We both took the Packers. Good for us. We actually got the next three right. We both took Arizona against Washington. They won that one by a lot. We both took Baltimore at Houston. They won by a lot. We both took the Chiefs. Now, they did win the game. Justin Herbert, pretty impressive performance. I took the Chiefs on the knowing that Tyrod Taylor would be the starter. He was
Yeah.
not the starter, so we both kind of got screwed there, but it is what it is. New England at Seattle. Oof, close one. We won that one by a yard, and my 10-game parlay actually survived because of that. And I think you won money off of that too. So
Yes, I
goodbye to
did.
Seahawks. Thank you very much. New Orleans at Las Vegas, the home opener for the Raiders at the new stadium. The Raiders actually flat out won the game. So I picked the Raiders. I picked them to win too, which is great. I didn't really trust Derek Carr, but awesome. And you took the Saints, and they took the loss. So our favorite bets, I took the Cardinals and the Niners. That's 2-0. You took the Seahawks and the Niners. You know what, Andrew? We went perfect on our favorite bets. Good for us.
Yep.
All right. So let's get into week number 3 of the NFL season. We start on Thursday Night Football. The Miami Dolphins at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, the home team, are favored by 3, and we agree on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars here. Gardner Minshew's last season, it wasn't a fluke. He's just incredible when you watch him. He makes everybody work around him, which is kind of scary because another player that reminds me of that is Russell Wilson. Now, I'm not saying Gardner Minshew's Russell Wilson in any sense of his name or any sense of the word, if you will. But when you have a quarterback that can pull everything around him, even when the team is terrible, that's exactly what you want in Jacksonville. I'm fairly confident with this pick. I haven't seen the consistency that I want yet from the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, which is why I'm kind of iffy. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, again, anytime you're facing Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's capable of 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, or he's capable of 100 yards and 4 interceptions. So it's really unpredictable there, but I'm going to go Jacksonville here.
Great point about Fitzpatrick. I didn't even consider that. He threw 3 interceptions, I think, week 1. I don't think he looked that good last week. So, as you said, I think Gardner Minshew, I told you this before, might be the best player on the field here. I'm trying to think, Byron Jones is out for the Dolphins. That's great. DJ Chark might miss, which would suck, but hopefully he plays. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars there. They've been great on offense so far. Their defense is very young, very inexperienced. Their corner, C.J. Henderson's been off to a great start. I saw Caleb on Chason got his first sack last week. I'm going to ride with Jacksonville. I didn't have the highest hopes coming into the year, but they proved to me, and Gardner Minshew proved to me, he's legit. They spread the ball around there. They know how to move it. I say they cover this game. I'm not too impressed with the Dolphins so far, so I think we both go Jacksonville there. Next, we have the Houston Texans, they're called. Yes, Houston Texans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is a -4. We both like the Steelers here.
Yeah, again, I've watched Houston play the Chiefs and Baltimore, and I think Pittsburgh's defense is just top 2, if not the best in the NFL. And the way they've played against both the Chiefs and the Ravens has not been very encouraging in the slightest. I think their defense will obviously play better against a Ben Roethlisberger as opposed to a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson. But 4 is a good number for me. I think they win by a touchdown. I can't really see it going any higher than that. I can see it going lower. But touchdown, 6 points, 5 points, that's really good range for me, especially in this matchup. I haven't seen much consistency from Deshaun Watson lately. I've seen him kind of trying to force a lot of plays that really just don't need to be forced, and that causes turnovers and things like that. And Pittsburgh doesn't mess up on defense. We saw that against the Giants. We even saw that against the Broncos. They really play good football. They're really disciplined on that defensive side.
Yep, definitely. I will go with the Steelers as well. They seem to be one of those teams that escaped the terrible injury bug that went around the league, and I think most of their defenders are still there, if I remember correctly. So I will go with Pittsburgh. They'll be able to move the ball. Houston, as we went over before, they have not been too impressive. I mean, we expected the offense to take somewhat of a step back with no DeAndre Hopkins, but they look pretty terrible, and their offensive line is still terrible. I don't trust their offensive line against a defensive front like the Steelers. Might be a rough game for Deshaun Watson once again. I think Watson, I feel bad for the guy. He has nothing he can do there. You know what I mean? He has no weapons. Well, kind of weapons. I mean, Will Fuller gets hurt in that game, of course, and a bunch of injury-prone weapons. But for the most part, the Steelers will be able to move the ball. They'll be great on defense once again. I think they win by a touchdown or more, as you said. Tennessee at Minnesota. Tennessee -2.5. Minnesota coming off that terrible performance. Tennessee's been looking pretty good on offense. I mean, they've been in tight games, but I think in the -2.5, we both like the Titans here.
Yeah, if you watch football, I don't know if you could sit here and actually pick the Vikings with any sort of confidence whatsoever. Especially in close games with Kirk Cousins, and which, Vegas is predicting that this is going to be in a close game. Cousins just tightens up for some reason. He's not good in close games, and when games are close, he often lets the other team win by some stupid mistake he makes. I haven't seen the consistency that I wanted to see from Derrick Henry yet. I thought he was going to run all over the Jaguars last week. That wasn't the case. Only got me about 8 fantasy points last week. Not too happy about that, especially considering that I lost. I think he's going to run better against the Vikings. I think he's going to become an angry runner. And when that man is angry and he's running at you, he's a scary man. I just see no reason to pick the Vikings here. It's not even that I'm confident in the Titans. I'm just so not confident in the Vikings.
Yeah, it's a suspicious line, I think, to say the least. I figured that the Titans would be close to more of 6.5-point favorites, but now we see 2.5. Yeah. Maybe we're getting fooled here, but I think this is a smash spot once again for Derrick Henry, who's been getting the ball a lot. I was with you. I bet the over on his rushing yards, which was like crazy at like 120, 130. I thought he was going to have a great game. Tannehill was awesome in that game, and even without A.J. Brown, who they might get back this week, they'll be able to move the ball. Minnesota loses Linval Joseph. They have a tougher time stopping the run. Jonathan Taylor, I believe, had 100 yards against them last week. So Derrick Henry should be good in this game. And I just, I don't really trust Minnesota's offense too much. Kirk Cousins had the worst game I've seen by a quarterback. I mean, they weren't even on red zone. I think he was 11 for 25, had a quarterback rating of like 16 maybe. So it was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Can't get worse, but I do think Tennessee's a much better team. So covered by a field goal, yeah, I'll take that. Next game, the Chicago Bears at the Atlanta Falcons. We both took the Falcons, and I think we feel terrible about it. I don't know what to think about the Falcons, but against a team like the Bears, they should put up a lot of points.
I think the only team that I would probably pick the Falcons against would probably only be the Bears or the Vikings, because they're teams that I think are just completely inconsistent, and you really can't bet them with any confidence again. Atlanta's screwed me up 2 times now. I bet Atlanta against the Seahawks, and then I bet Atlanta actually switched it up at the end as a solo bet against the Cowboys, and I thought I had that money. I mean, I did end up winning a pretty big pot of money with the parlay, Thank God I did not include them in it, but they've just been screwing me up. Hopefully they don't screw me up again. I do think it's possible, but if you just look at this team roster-wise, the only thing the Falcons don't have going for them is defense, and they're not really playing a great offensive team in the Chicago Bears. Their offense can move the ball, the Falcons. They throw the ball more than anybody in the NFL. They're going to throw the ball again. They're going to attack the Chicago Bears corners, which is probably the weakest spot on their defense. And yeah, I think they get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I hope we're right about this one. The Falcons can move the ball, as we know, as better as anybody or as well as anybody. The Bears should put up points in this game. I think this might be the game where Allen Robinson finally goes off and Anthony Miller might have a good game. But for the most part, I know you're happy about that, aren't you?
Yeah, put up a fat 0 last week.
Darnay Holmes, baby. Good corner. But yeah, I think the Falcons, they'll put up a lot of points here. I do respect the Bears defense a lot, but look, I mean, when you're passing the ball a bunch of times like they are, I mean, they have 3 good receivers at this point. Russell Gage has been off to a great start for the Falcons. Hayden Hurst will make that 4 good receivers. Todd Gurley has not been too involved yet, but still, when Matt Ryan's slugging the ball as well as he is, it doesn't really matter. So I do think there's a chance the Bears win this game. I cannot trust the Falcons wholeheartedly, as we both know, but I will go with the Falcons to cover 3.5 there. Next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders coming off a big win. They are at the New England Patriots, -5.5, and we differ on this one.
5.5 is too much for me, especially considering that New England has played 2 awful defenses in their first 2 games of the season. The Seahawks were just absolutely nothing. They almost lost me that bet because they almost drove down the field on the Seahawks, and thank God Jamal Adams was traded there. But I just don't see, if you're Vegas, I don't see where this 5.5 line comes from. Las Vegas last year didn't score over 31 points the entire season. They've scored over 31 points back-to-back weeks this year. I think their defense is legit. I think you saw it last week with the Saints. Even though they didn't have Michael Thomas, they were still pretty good on defense. They have some underrated players there. I couldn't probably name 6 or 7 of them. I think that's how underrated they are, but I just don't know where you get 5.5 here, especially considering how well the Raiders have played lately.
Definitely. I mean, Darren Waller was unbelievable in that game, and they moved the ball pretty well on offense, the Raiders. I give them a lot of credit. The Patriots, though, Cam Newton looks to be the guy once again. Like, he is back, and I think they'll be able to control the clock, control the ball on the ground, and Sony Michel got to get going. Whoever runs the ball for the Patriots, not named Cam Newton, has to get going. Covering Edelman's very tough. They have some young corners there for the Raiders. So I will go with New England. I'm not too confident in this one, but with the way Cam Newton's playing right now, I just don't want to pick against them. Them losing last week in tough fashion makes me believe even more they're going to come out and play really well in this game. I'm sure a lot of guys are upset about that loss. I do like the Patriots, not by a lot, but I do have them covering the 5.5. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers at the New York Giants. The Niners have about 25 injuries on their roster. I mean, I don't know if that's exaggerating or not. It is terrible. Nick Mullins might start. We're sitting here not knowing who the Niners quarterback is, which hurts, but I think we both are going to go with the Niners here.
Yeah, but not with much confidence, as I liked last week against the Jets. I mean, they dominated the Jets last week. I think for half of that game, they didn't have most of their great players. I actually saw a really good clip of Sam Darnold against the 49ers the other day. He was running out to the left, and he threw across his body, and it was just a beautiful play. But, that's not what we're talking about here. The Giants haven't seen them play well offensively against good defenses, and yet again, they're playing another good defense. Now, that front seven is injured. I understand that. I think this is a big test for Daniel Jones. I've seen a lot of good things from Daniel Jones. I've yet to see something that makes me go, wow, that's unbelievable. Still waiting on that, but I think the San Francisco 49ers get it done. This one I had a tough time saying whether it was an actual bet or not because, again, we are sitting here with the thought that Nick Mullins is going to be the starting quarterback. If Jimmy Garoppolo's there, I feel a lot more comfortable with this bet, but I'm going to take the 49ers.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, the thing that really sways my opinion here is that the Giants' offensive line is terrible run blocking this year. And I mean, I know that the Niners have a lot of their front 7 guys out for this game, like Dee Ford, Solomon Thomas, Nick Bosa, Javon Kinlaw's still there, which is great. But the Giants don't have a running game. So, they can't really attack that weakness. If the Giants still had Saquon Barkley, I'd be much more it'd be much more easier to pick the Giants here, but can Devonta Freeman off the street, Wayne Gallman, who was inactive last week, and Deion Lewis is more of a pass catcher, can they carry the load between the tackles? I don't know about that. So I will go with the Niners. I think George Kittle's playing here, and the Giants can't really cover tight ends historically. So I will say the Niners win this game by a touchdown. I could see the Giants winning this game, of course, but I don't trust them, honestly. I mean, they should have won that game against the Bears last week. Not good vibes around the Giants right now, but I will take the Niners to cover there. Next, we have, Andrew, the Cincinnati Bengals. They go to the Philadelphia Eagles. We both picked the same team here. This is the first time you're picking against your beloved Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I think the Eagles at this point in the season fall under that category of the Bears and the Vikings that I just explained. Absolute inconsistency. You really don't know where you're going with the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you disagree with me on that, I'm telling you right now, I watch the Eagles more than you. I know exactly what's going on in that room. And if I'm not picking the Eagles, you better stay away from the Eagles. The Bengals looked fantastic last week. Joe Burrow looked incredible. I really, really liked what I saw from Joe Burrow. Obviously, defensively, they can clean up some things. But again, if you're the Bengals defense right now and you're looking at Eagles tape, you're not seeing any sort of consistency whatsoever. I think to win this game, which I don't think they will win, but I do think they will cover, to win this game, you have to put Carson Wentz, you have to squish him in that pocket and force him to make throws because that's the reason he's been struggling lately. And if you continue to do that, which I think the Cincinnati Bengals could possibly do, it's going to be tough. The Eagles have a better offensive line than they did the last couple of weeks, but they don't have as many weapons. Again, Jalen Reagor out for 6 to 8 weeks now. I picked the Bengals here pretty confidently against the Eagles. Again, no consistency on Philadelphia's side of the ball.
Yeah, I think the Eagles probably win this game, but I'm going to take the Bengals as well to cover. They have the more off days. They have more time to get healthy. They might get Geno Atkins back finally, which would be huge. And, I like Joe Burrow. I'm not going to lie. Like, they showed they can move the ball. I mean, he threw the ball, 61 times on Thursday and looks pretty good doing it. So they'll be able to put up points, in my opinion. I say this every week. Philadelphia's secondary does not scare me. I know you guys have Darius Slay now, but other than that, I don't really know what's going on for them. Sorry. But, yeah, I will take the Bengals there. I think they'll be able to move the ball. And Joe Mixon's getting involved in the pass game now, which is great to see. So they'll be fine. But, 6 points is a lot. So I will take the Bengals there. Next, we have the Washington football team. I actually have a funny story here. So I looked at a notification before, probably a half hour ago. It said Hoskins out for the year. And it's Reese Hoskins, first baseman of the Phillies. I dead ass thought it was Haskins out for the year. I was like, what the hell just happened? But no, I was wrong. So anyway, Washington football team, they're at the Cleveland Browns. It's one of those rare occurrences where I am picking the Browns because the Browns are favored by 7 here, which I feel like is a lot. But you picked the Browns, so tell us.
Yeah, I did pick the Browns. I like what I saw offensively from them last week, and I think they're facing, again, another lackluster defense. Front seven-wise, that does scare me. I'm not going to lie. But Jedrick Wills has just been absolutely unbelievable. I know you tweeted about it before. They're lucky they got him at 10, and I completely agree. I think he's been just absolutely incredible in run blocking and pass blocking. He will face a tougher task. I think he'll be on Chase Young, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe Ryan Kerrigan. Either one of those two. That's a scary pairing. But honestly, if Haskins was out for the year, I think I'd feel more comfortable with the Washington football team here with maybe an Alex Smith thrown into the bunch. I don't know. I might get hate comments for that too. Don't worry. I respond to comments, so look out for that. But I'm going to go with the Browns here. I really like what I saw offensively. I usually don't pick the Browns because, again, I don't like Baker's footwork. I think he's very wild. I think he tries to gunsling too much. But last week he cleaned it up a little bit, and I'm a little confident in Baker Mayfield this week.
Yeah, it hurts my soul to pick against my Brownies here. I mean, people think I'm a Browns fan these days because I love Baker and Odell. But the thing you mentioned about the front seven being scary is what turns me off here. So the Browns, of course, against the Bengals, who had a bunch of defensive linemen out, were able to run the ball for 220 rushing yards, whatever it was. But when now you face Washington, whose front seven's great, very tough to run on that team. So I don't know if they're going to get it going. You could beat them with the pass, but then they're putting a bunch of weight on Baker Mayfield's shoulders. Can he make the plays in back-to-back weeks? I mean, I hope he does because I like the guy, but 7 points is a lot. I think Washington, they should be able to move the ball. The Browns secondary is still pretty banged up. So, I mean, I'm not the biggest Haskins guy, but it's not going to be the toughest task. They should be able to cover. I think Washington might have a chance to win, but if the Browns blow them out, then so be it. I'm all right with that. But I just think it's going to be a tough game running the ball for them, and that's what they want to do offensively. Next, we have the Los Angeles Rams, who just came off a beating in Philadelphia, if I may say so. They are at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are a -2. Who you got there?
Yeah, the team that had a beating on the Philadelphia Eagles is the team I'm taking here. Yeah, I'm taking the Rams. I see a similar matchup to the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1 with the Rams. It's also a similar spread, a similar line, if you will. I like them. I think that Jared Goff in games like this, where Vegas expects it to be tight and they expect it to be tight, I think that's where he really comes alive. He's a good game manager. Doesn't need to throw for a load of yards and a load of touchdowns. He just needs to manage the game. I think that's what Sean McVay is really good at. I think he specializes in designing plays for specifically doing just that when he knows they're going to be tough games to win and he knows they're going to be close games. And I think Jared Goff fits the scheme perfectly. I actually have this on my bet list. Like, I would actually bet this if I were in your shoes. Who knows? I might throw them into my parlay this week. I feel confident in the Rams. I think they could win this game by 10 points. If I'm talking about Josh Allen here, I haven't seen the consistency that I'd like to see from Josh Allen. I actually just saw like a 2-minute clip or so before I came on here of all the Josh Allen overthrows this season. I think there's about 7 or 8 that he could have had at least 20 to 30-yard gains, if not touchdowns, on these throws, and he's just not been consistent there. And I think the Rams pose a huge threat defensively, probably the biggest so far for Josh Allen.
I will say, if Josh Allen was accurate, he would be who Patrick Mahomes is these days. I mean, he's doing everything right, but he is missing too many throws. Now, I will take the Bills here. I think Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level if you don't look at the missed throws. But look at the good things that are happening here. I think he's been so much better at just putting loft on his passes and just really good at touch passes these days. We know he has the arm. He even hit John Brown on deep ball. His deep ball accuracy usually sucks, so to see him hit a deep ball was very encouraging. It's a West Coast team going east, and McVay doesn't get that week 1 bump anymore. I mean, I like the Bills right now and where they're going. This is the biggest competition for the Bills, and they're coming off a 3-point win against the Dolphins. There was a lightning delay in that game, so I'm not going to hold it against them too much, but that is a bit concerning. The Rams have looked great so far. 2 pretty, 1 commanding win, 1 win that might have been bailed out by refs, but they are 2-0. You are what your record says you are. It will be a fun game for sure. I think it's going to be very close. I'm not as confident in betting this one like you are, but, I definitely I like the confidence there, but I will take the Bills to cover this one by 2. I like what I see from Josh Allen so far, and their defense is great. So I'll take the Bills. Next, we have the New York Jets. They're at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are a -10.5. And once again, you're making the bad decision, Andrew, of going back to the Jets, and tell us why.
I'm going back to the Jets. I really am. I think the Jets are one of those teams where you're like, can I really pick this with some confidence? I think if you go any lower, maybe 9.5, 8.5, that's where I go with the Colts. I think the Colts win this game by literally 10. I think the Jets just cover by a half of a point. And I like the Jets. I like what I saw last week from the – no, I don't. You thought I was really going to say
that one play
no,
by Darnold.
That was a beautiful play. That was like the best play I've ever seen Darnold in my life, like I've ever seen. But the offensive line, it's crumbling. It is a little scary, but 10.5 is too much for me because I don't like the Colts that much this year, as much as I thought I would. I think they've also been another team that's been a little inconsistent. Philip Rivers, we always thought in, LA or San Diego, if you will, that he was just throwing picks because he really didn't have a consistent offensive line. And now that he's going into that Colts system that has a top 3 offensive line, we're seeing the same sort of thing here. So again, I'm just not confident in the Colts. Am I confident in the Jets? Not really. But I just think 10.5 is too much for a team like the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, 10.5 is a lot, but for a team like the Jets, it's going to take me to get to 16.5, honestly, to pick against. I think Jonathan Taylor has a field day here. I'm not even worried about Philip Rivers. He might have to make some throws in this game, but they're not going to rely on him too much. I mean, maybe the Jets backdoor this game. The Colts defense isn't the scariest. They lose Malik Hooker. I mean, they start Xavier Rhodes, I think, so that can't be too scary. But, just offensively speaking, the Colts should have a good game here. Paris Campbell's probably out, considering he got carted off the field, so I'm not sure about him. This is a great spot for T.Y. Hilton to finally do something. I think he's on your fantasy team, by the way, but this is a great spot for T.Y. Hilton to finally do something. He's looked washed this year, but if he's going to do something, it's got to be this week. If not, you should probably trade him. But I like Jonathan Taylor.
I just traded for him this week.
It was a good trade. I'm just saying, this guy, no one cares about our fantasy league. I'm just going to say, this guy traded Cortland Sutton after the torn ACL news came out and the trade still went through. I mean, the kids still wanted to do it. I don't know why, but our league is just stupid. So with that being said, I will go with the Colts. I don't see enough from the Jets to make me want to pick them. I'm going to go against the offensive guru, Adam Gase, here and go with the Colts. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. They are at the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert, I believe, is the starting quarterback after that ridiculous Tyrod Taylor story with the team doctor puncturing his lung or something. I don't know what happened. Yeah, very wild story. But the Chargers favored by 6.5. We differ on this one. So why the Panthers?
The Panthers, because I think Teddy Bridgewater keeps you in that 6 to 7 point range. I really think this one can go either way. Last week was different. I think they lost by, 14 last week? I don't see that happening against the Chargers. And honestly, I was watching Justin Herbert, and as much as I loved him, I saw that usual first game rookie play that he made. He had that, I think it was either 3rd and 3 or 4th and 3, where he was rolling out to his left. Could have easily had the first down if he took it on his legs, but decided to throw deep and threw a pick. I think with a team like Carolina, there's a lot of new stuff on defense, a lot of new stuff on offense. Haven't really seen what they're capable of. I think this might be the game where they finally, break out, if you want to say. But, I mean, Mr. Sir Per, Robbie Anderson himself, I think he's going to have a great game against the Chargers. And I think they win this game by 4, I'd say the Chargers. So I think Carolina doesn't win, but I think Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that keeps you in games. So I'm going to go with Teddy Bridgewater and the Carolina Panthers and Sir Per.
That's a good point. I mean, he does keep you in games, and Anderson's been off to a great start. I drafted him everywhere, so I'm happy about that. But I do like the Chargers more with Justin Herbert. I think their upside is a lot better. We know what Tyrod Taylor is. He's just like, Walmart, Teddy Bridgewater, funny enough, they're playing each other. But Justin Herbert gives you that upside. I know he'll make the dumb play here and there. He kind of reminds me of what Josh Allen was his first 2 years in the league, like more of last year even, because he was pretty damn good. But he gives you that upside where they can go up pretty early in this game, in my opinion. I still like the Chargers defense a lot. As I always say, even without Derwin James, they still have a very solid defense. So it's going to be tough for the Panthers to score on them. So I'm going to go with Justin Herbert to hope he has back-to-back good games here. I think this is a good spot for him. The Panthers are the only team in the league I saw before that don't have a sack. So they are terrible with the pressure. They are very, they got a young defensive line with some talent, but still they have not gotten a sack yet this year. It might continue because the Chargers, I think, have been pretty good this year at, keeping their quarterback protected. So I will go with the Chargers there. I like Herbert once again to have a pretty nice game. Next, we have the Detroit Lions, two of my more favorite teams coming into the year. One of them has been great. One of them has been terrible. Detroit Lions at the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are a -5.5. I think me and you are just going to ride the Cardinals until they do us wrong, it seems like.
Yeah, I think until they get to the Indianapolis Colts range where they start putting 10.5 lines on there, I don't know what they're thinking with this 5.5 line. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins just connected immediately. And it's incredible that they did that without any OTAs or preseason whatsoever. I think you're seeing another DJ Chark, Gardner Minshew situation, if you will, where them two just click automatically, don't need really any practice together. And DeAndre Hopkins, baby, he's got that chip on his shoulder in Arizona. I keep saying it. I think something happened between him and Bill O'Brien. You don't trade someone like that to the Arizona Cardinals unless something did happen, especially for that price. But Arizona's just been fantastic. I have Kyler Murray on my fantasy team. He's been putting up 30. He put up 33 last week, 27 the week before. He's just been fantastic. And, again, this is another defense that the Cardinals are facing where it does not scare me in the slightest if you're Kyler Murray because – even if you don't have DeAndre Hopkins down the field, Kyler Murray is fast. I mean, this guy is a lot faster than I think the 40-yard dash time said. He just has really good game speed. I think he crushes this Lions defense, but I'm not going to actually bet this one. I was really tempted to do so, but I like another one better, so I'm going to leave this one alone.
I think I'm going to bet this one. I'm picking the Cardinals once again. Now, I do think the Lions do get Kenny Golladay back. I'm pretty sure they're confident he'll play this week, so keep that in mind. But the Cardinals have been pretty good, I would guess, defensively so far. I mean, they held the Niners to 20. I'm trying to think what happened last week. I don't even remember who they played last week, which is probably terrible of me, but I don't think their defense was that bad. Was it Washington? Yeah, it was Washington. Yeah, so they did a pretty good job against them. I know they're not good, but still, their defense has been good enough this year. I did like the Lions offense a lot coming into the year, so they could put up some points, but I just think the Cardinals offense is too good, and defensively, they're better. They're better on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. 5.5 is not enough. As you said, if it got up to like 10 or something like that, I'd probably side with the Lions, but the line is just not big enough for me, so I'm going to go with the Cardinals there. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys, who coming off a great win. They are at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are a -4.5.
I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys here. If you watch that Patriots Seahawks game, the Patriots are just wrecking them. I don't think I've ever seen Cam Newton throw for that many passing yards since probably his MVP season. And he was just tearing them apart. And I look at this Cowboys defense, and I think they are better in every single category than the Patriots. They have a better quarterback, better wide receivers, better offensive line, and a better running back. That's really what's going to happen this game. I think Zeke's going to have a field day. I think if you're who's their offense? Oh, Kellen Moore or Mike McCarthy. I think that's where you establish it first. Go with Zeke. If it doesn't work with Zeke, then drop back and go with Dak on the passing game. But I do think it will work with Zeke, so I don't think they'll have a problem there. 4.5 in the Seahawks' favor was surprising to me. That was very surprising to me. I expected maybe a 1 in the Seahawks' favor. If that, I thought this game was going to be in Dallas's favor, especially after putting 40 points up against that Falcons defense, which I view the Seahawks as being worse than the Falcons defense. I haven't seen anything that I really like from the Seahawks. But when you always have Russell Wilson in the game, you really don't know what's going to happen. He just is incredible with literally no pieces around him whatsoever. He can make anything happen. But I do feel pretty confident with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I don't blame you. They have a lot of great offensive weapons. And Seattle's defense, as you said, I don't think it's as bad as the Falcons, but they're not that good. So you have to throw that in there. This will be a very high-scoring game. I don't know what the over-under is. I probably should have wrote it down somewhere. But probably take the over because I think both teams probably get into the 30s here. They've been airing the ball out a lot more with Russell Wilson this year, which I like a lot. I've said this the past 2 years. You have a top 3 quarterback in the league. I forget who their offensive coordinator is for the Seahawks, and they're driving me crazy now, but maybe Brian Schottenheimer or something like that. But, they ran the ball a lot, like top 3 in the league the past 2 years. Now they're airing the ball out a lot. And I know Chris Carson's been very successful, but it's Russell freaking Wilson, like throw the ball with him. So they've been doing that a lot more this year. They're putting up a lot of points, and their defense, I don't trust it too much, but I like the Seahawks offense more than the Cowboys right now, funny enough. So I will take the Seahawks to cover this game. It's in Seattle. So give me Seattle there. Next is Tampa Bay at Denver. Denver is starting Jeff Driscoll. My guy, I like Jeff Driscoll. So they are Tampa Bay is a 6-point favorite there. We both like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here.
Yeah, put in Josh Rosen, I might still take the Buccaneers here. I just think 6 points is just it's too low for me, especially when you don't have a guy like Drew Lock throwing for the Buccaneers. I think if his line was the exact same with Drew Lock in there, I still think, again, I will pick the Buccaneers because I think what you're going to see with the Buccaneers is they're going to get better every single week because Tom Brady is going to get more and more comfortable. Tom Brady had a lot of drops last week. I don't know if you watched that game. He threw a lot of balls right on the dot, and a lot of people dropped. It should have been a lot uglier than it really was in that game. I feel confident. I think this might be a maybe 2 to 3 touchdown win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is their breakout game, just like the Panthers. And I don't see anything going for the Broncos defensively. They probably lost arguably their best offensive player if you mark Drew Lock that high. I know me and Mike probably do. And they lost their best defensive player, Von Miller, which we already knew about that before the season even started. But again, I just don't see anything going for them right now. Too many injuries for my liking. And Tampa Bay is, again, kind of one of those teams that escaped the injury bug a little bit in last week. Didn't really have much going for them in that sense. So that's a positive for the Buccaneers. So I'm going to stick with Tampa, and this is an actual bet for me.
Ooh. All right, yeah, the Broncos have been one of the more injured teams in the league, along with the 49ers. And, as I said, I do like Driscoll. He's decent, good mobility, but I like Tampa a lot here. They get Chris Godwin back, which will make their offense better, of course. And as you said, Tom Brady had a lot of drop passes. I remember LaShawn McCoy in the end zone. That was a bad drop. Should have been a touchdown. So, I think they'll be able to move the ball pretty easily here. I think Denver's defense has been decent this year. They had a good point total week 1 against Tennessee. They kept the Steelers in check for the most part. So even with people down, they've been pretty good. But still, I think Tampa Bay's got a good offense. I think Tom Brady's been playing really well, despite what the numbers might tell you. But Look at the Saints game, had like 3 drop passes that were great. Last week had 3 or 4 drop passes that were great. So if they convert on these plays, Tampa's probably a better team than the line wants to tell us. So I will take Tampa to cover the 6 here. Next, we have 2 great games actually for the prime times. Green Bay Packers at the New Orleans Saints. Saints are a -3.5. We both like the Packers here.
Yeah, and it's funny how these primetime games work. You look at Thursday, it's Jacksonville versus Miami, and then you look at Sunday and Monday, and you got these incredible games. Monday is just going to be an absolute thrill. But Green Bay is the team I'm going to go with here. Didn't see, again, anything I liked from the Saints last week, which is a little concerning for me because they are going to be missing Michael Thomas. Yet again, I think that Michael Thomas tweet was literally one of the funniest things I've seen all week long. I think he is an overconfident you-know-what, and I think sometimes he just needs to shut up, so I'm glad he did get shut up by his tweet there. Even though I lost, I was willing to take the loss just to see Michael Thomas cry a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers here. I mean, everything's been working for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers has been great. I'm still a believer that he is declining. If you check the stats, it does prove that. Maybe at the end of the year that won't happen, but I'm going to go with Green Bay here. He's made a lot of great throws. Devontae Adams barely was even touched in that game last week, and they still played really, really well. So I think you see kind of similar storyline in this game.
Yeah, for those wondering what the tweet was, I think it was 10-0 Saints at the end of the first quarter, and then Michael Thomas tweets out, "This one might get ugly fast." Might have said LOL at the end of it too. So to see the Saints blow that game was actually pretty hilarious, and I'm happy about that. But the Packers, I mean, you talk about Aaron Rodgers declining. I don't know. Looks pretty damn good this year. Aaron Rodgers has been amazing, even with some drop passes by Valdez-Scantling in there as well. I saw Rodgers in a Pat McAfee interview the other day. He says he's loving life now, views things in different perspectives. I think Aaron Rodgers is back, baby. I don't care if he's 36 years old. I think he's back, and the real Aaron Rodgers, the old Aaron Rodgers, is back. So I will take the Packers here. Michael Thomas not being there definitely hurts. Now, they'll go up some rushing yards, of course, and Alvin Kamara was great on Monday night. Bunch of catches, a lot of yards after the catch. But, Latavius Murray's been kind of stuck in mud this year. He hasn't looked that great. So I think they'll be able to contain the Saints offense. Drew Brees has 1 completion of more than 20 air yards on 63 pass attempts this year. The guy's arm looks cooked. I mean, Aaron Jones has been phenomenal the past 2 years. I mean, the Saints' run defense is pretty good for the most part. I mean, Josh Jacobs was pretty good in that game. But I do like the Packers here. They'll put up points, and I just don't trust the Saints as much offensively as I once did, especially with Michael Thomas there and when Drew Brees had a better arm. So I will take the Packers along with you there to cover 3.5. To cover 3.5. So next we have Monday Night Football, Kansas City Chiefs at the Baltimore Ravens, possibly game of the year. Kind of reminds me of that Chiefs and Rams game from a couple years ago when it was like, 80 total points, whatever it was. So Baltimore's a -3.5 here. We both like the same team, and it's going to be Baltimore.
Yeah, this game I would have felt a lot more comfortable picking the Chiefs if they didn't win in overtime last week. I think that was kind of a setback for them. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to be affected by it in the slightest, but I like Baltimore. Their team is just so good everywhere. And Lamar Jackson isn't even playing like MVP Lamar Jackson rushing wise. He's been passing the ball a lot more, taking it easy on his legs, and they're still winning by a big margin. He's been winning me some money, so I'm happy. The Ravens overall have been winning me some money. So I really think the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the NFL, and I might pick them every game this season. That might be something that I do.
Yeah, last week I thought maybe the Ravens line was a bit high at 8.5 against the Texans, but I was like, you know what? Until someone stops this Baltimore team, I'm going to keep picking them, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Now, as we said, the Chiefs nearly lost to a rookie quarterback that was told a minute before kickoff you're starting the game. So that definitely is in the back of my mind. And I think Baltimore has just been so great. Baltimore's defense is better than the Chiefs, in my opinion. I think Baltimore's offense is just as good as the Chiefs. I mean, definitely not throwing the ball wise, but just, efficiency wise. So I think Baltimore is the pick here, in my opinion. Of course, I'm not going to, bet against Patrick Mahomes, but I just think this offense is too good. And until someone stops it, as I said last week, until someone stops it, I'm still picking the Ravens. So 3.5, good enough for me. I will take the Ravens there. So that will do it. Now, our favorite bets, I actually want to get into that. So my favorite bets this week, I am taking the Jaguars -3 on Thursday, and I'm also taking the Arizona Cardinals -5.5. So who are your 2 favorites? Don't say the Jets or I'll
No, I'm not going to say the Jets. No, certainly not. I'm going to go with the Rams here. The Bills are actually favored by 2 points there. But I think the Rams outright win this game. Again, I think it's very similar to the Rams-Cowboys game from week 1. And then I'm also going to take Tampa Bay against Denver. I really don't think I need to explain myself there. I think there's big mismatches everywhere on the field.
All right, fair enough. And I like those picks. I don't know about the Bills one, but I do like Tampa Bay for sure. So we'll see. We are separated by 1 game in the standings right now, so it will be fun to see who gets the lead. I hope I take it, but good luck, my friend, this week. And we will talk to you guys next week. Thank you for watching.